Hello, this is Matthew Chan. Welcome to the new episode of The Success Formula with Ray Williams. And of course, I'm always excited being with Ray. We keep a pretty busy schedule, and having this show is a great way for us to get together. So how you doing, Ray?
I'm doing great, Matthew. Looking forward to another show with you, and I think we've got a great topic today.
You know what? You always have a great topic. You always have a great topic. And, it does a world. I love listening to these topics because most of them are so relevant to me. So there you go. So what are we talking about today?
We're going to talk about taking personal responsibility and stop being a victim.
Really?
And this may resonate with a lot of people, either one or the other. But what I'm going to try to do today, Matthew, is take a look at the particular perspective of how do you take personal responsibility and how do you know if you're being a victim, and then some real strategies on doing one and not the other. Does that sound pretty good?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. So let me read out to you, and you may be able to identify with people you've met in your life, and it may not necessarily be you, but you've probably heard these things before. It's not my fault.
Oh, I've never said that in my life. Never.
No, I know. I never asked to be in this situation. Now that you have me, what are you going to do with me? I can't help myself. I'm going to read you a whole bunch of other things. I've heard these before, and I always record them. I want you to tell me what to do. Life is unfair. This isn't fair. Why did this happen to me? I didn't deserve this. You can't help me. Nobody can. I'm useless. I'm a failure. I'll always be this way. There's no way I'll ever be able to handle this. This is way over my head. When do my troubles and problems stop? It just seems like one after another. It never ends. Stop the world. I want to get off. I've had it. That's it. I'm done.
I'm squirming in my chair, Ray.
Life is so depressing. Okay, here's a good one, though. You know what? It's just bad luck. If I had better luck, things would go better for me. Okay. Those are all expressions of people who are acting like victims and not taking responsibility. So one of the principles that I teach and work with my clients is principle number one. It's the number one above all else. Okay. And that's taking personal responsibility for every single thing that happens in your life without exception.
That's pretty tough.
It's pretty tough. And that includes getting sick and getting illness and getting disease. It includes those things too.
Wow. You're going to have to give some examples of how that can...
I'm certainly going to give those examples.
Good.
And I want to relay an example of a very dear person to me is my wife, who you've met, and is a fantastic person. We've been together for almost 45 years now. And about 2.5 years ago, she came down with a brain tumor. Not a pleasant thing. And now, of all the people in the world that could take the position of why did this happen to me, Diane would be it. She has been a perfect mother, a great wife. She is so good to people. She has lived the exemplary life. So why would a tumor happen to her? That's not fair. But if she took the position of this happened to me, whether it's a tumor or a cancer or a heart condition or whatever it has to be, you become a victim and you lose some control over your life. So one of the things she did instead, and I think this is responsible for why she recovered so quickly, she recovered from this brain tumor and 9 hours of surgery within 2.5 days. 2.5 days after she was at home. And I think it's because she took, you know what, I did something to bring this tumor into my life, and I'm going to take responsibility, I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to change the way I do things. And that's what she did.
Wow.
And the surgical team that worked with her said they have never seen anybody recover from serious surgery like that so fast in their lives. Now, I'm a personal fan of hers, but what she did is she committed herself to taking responsibility even for the tumor and working through the things that she may have done to bring it on.
Wow.
So we wanted to use that as... Pardon me?
Are you going to be sharing some of it, or...
Yes, I am going to be sharing it.
That's pretty powerful.
It's very powerful. And that's one of the reasons I want to use that as a personal example. Instead of making it theoretical or abstract, I want to say, I've seen someone do this. And I've seen other people do it as well. So, what's the purpose of complaining and blaming? You know, what do you accomplish when you complain and blame other people or events for things happening in your life? What's the purpose of it?
Probably relieve stress. So it's supposed to make your life a little bit easier, or at least make you feel better short term.
There you go. It makes some people feel better. So here are the reasons that I've come across when people do complain and act like a victim. And I make notes as I go along from my files of working with clients. Okay. So first of all, they complain and blame because it gets the person's sympathy so they would feel better. That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two is they solicit pity from the other person. So they when they feel sorry for you, they'll say, "Oh, you poor dear, that's so terrible. You know, I don't know how you can manage to get through life like that." And
that actually kind of makes me cringe a little bit, but okay.
It makes you feel a little bit better, right? The second reason people do that is they want somebody to rescue them in some form. They want the person to give them advice. Well, you should do this. Well, let me help you with that. Let me take that burden from you. They're expecting that someone will come in and rescue them.
Okay.
The third reason is that when people complain like that and seek that kind of sympathy is they want to get off the hook for being responsible and get other people to agree that it's not their fault. It's someone else's fault. It's poor economic conditions in the marketplace. It's that crummy brother-in-law. It's that lousy wife or husband. Someone's to blame, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they're looking for blame to be allocated so they don't have to look at themselves. That's another reason.
Got it.
A fourth reason is by becoming a victim and seeking sympathy like that, you don't have to face the fear of what am I going to do now? What am I going to do now? And that can create fear. It can be a fear of, oh my God, I don't know what to do next. And that creates fear in your mind. So you don't want to face that fear, so you run away from it by blaming, by being a victim.
Okay.
And then finally, by portraying yourself as a victim, it brings you a lot of attention. Everyone's spotlight is on you now. Say, look at me. Pay attention to me. Whereas if you didn't complain and you didn't blame and you didn't act like a victim and didn't ask for the spotlight to be on you, then you'd have to be quietly facing yourself instead of having a whole audience. So a lot of people who are acting like victims are looking for an audience. So let's face it. If you were whining and complaining and nobody was there to listen to you, would you still do it?
Probably not.
Probably not, exactly. There needs to be an audience to be a victim.
Right.
So one of the strategies and one of the tips I would give you is you ever run into a person who is a victim all the time, is never enable and reinforce their language when they're talking their victim behavior. Because you're enabling them to be that way. You're helping them.
What would be some examples of enabling language, Ray?
Okay, so enabling language is, let's say that I'm that I'm the victim, because I won't use you. Let's say I'm the victim.
Okay.
And let's say that my business has gone down the tube and I've lost $200,000 in the last year. And so I get into this victim, poor me. Oh my God, it's not my fault. It's the competition's killing me. It's the wrong time in the market. I've had some problems with my vendors and my suppliers, and I go on and on and on like that, right?
Okay.
Now, I'm talking to you. For you to enable me, what are you going to typically say to me?
Well, if I wanted to enable that, I would say, Ray, you're absolutely right. It was the economy. There's nothing that you could have done to prevent it. You could not have foreseen that. I mean, I probably would just go into agreement mode. Which is actually the easy thing to do, to be honest with you, Ray.
Yeah, it is. It is. Because you like me, right? You know, I'm a good guy. You like me, and so you want to be sympathetic. But it actually doesn't help me. what it does, it reinforces my victim behavior. So instead of doing that, which is going to help me more, which is going to help me take more personal responsibility, you say one of these two sentences, and here they are.
Okay.
Sentence number 1. Ray, I can see that you're in a tough situation, and I can see that it's being difficult for you. So the acknowledgement part comes first, and that's important, because you don't want to seem like you're cold, right?
Right.
The second part of the sentence is, what are you going to do about it now?
Wow.
What are you going to do about it now? Yeah. By having those two things put together, what are you going to do about it? It puts the responsibility back to the person, and you add the word now because it's the present, not the future, but now. What are you going to do about it now? Now, here's the second sentence that you could use to assist, which is an alternative to that. Ray, I can see that you're in a tough situation. I appreciate how difficult it's been for you. What's the next step you can take today?
Oh, that's good. What's the next step?
What's the next step you can take today?
I like that.
Now, it's really hard for a person to be a victim and respond to those questions, isn't it?
Yes.
Right.
What has been your experience for people who were victim prone? In other words, they insist on being in their victimhood. How do they respond to you when you ask such a pointed question like that?
It usually is a bit of a shock and silence and a double take and a few blinks of the eye.
Okay, I can see how that happened, because I wasn't quite sure how people would respond to such a pointed question.
It takes them back a bit, which is good. That's what you want to happen. But at the same time, you notice the acknowledgments there. You're saying to them, hey, I can appreciate you're in a tough situation. But so you're going to assist them by saying, what are you going to do now? Now, if the person responds by saying, I have no idea what I'm going to do because it's not my fault, okay, now you're into a second response, and this is what I would say. If you did know what you were going to do, what would it be?
Yeah, that's
if you did know. Right. Okay. And so then if the person even continues to go on, say, listen, I just told you, I have no idea what I'm going to do. Okay. For the sake of our discussion, Matthew, if you did know and you could think of an idea, just pull something out of the air so we could at least have a conversation about this. What would it be?
I like that.
Yeah.
You're basically you're just trying to get some small nugget to work with.
Exactly. Now the person's obliged to start taking responsibility for what they can do about their situation and get out of blame, get out of being a victim. So you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay.
Very good.
All right. So what does all this tell you? Well, people often who are not taking responsibility are in very difficult situations. They've got financial difficulties. They don't have enough clients. They don't have enough business. They're in an abusive or disrespectful relationship. I see a lot of that.
Okay.
You know, my partner in life's an idiot or even worse, but I don't know what to do about it. Just continue on. They have anger and frustration. They've got fear and anxiety about what to do next. And it can involve their family life, their kids. You know, my kid's into drugs now. I don't know what to do. Right. So it can be all of those situations. And what's important for them is to seek out a strategy on how to accept personal responsibility and avoid the negative kind of continual spiral of, this is happening to me and I don't have any strategy on what to do about it.
Okay.
Right. So here's some things. When you accept personal responsibility, here's some of the risks you run into. There's some risks involved when you do this.
Okay. This should be good.
One of the risks is you stop being dependent upon others for approval.
Okay. That's a risk?
That's a risk, because when you are a victim, and when you are a victim in life and things happen to you, you're always looking to the outside of yourself, to receive approval or not approval.
I guess I don't view it that way. I'm kind of happy when I don't need approval. I hate it when I feel like I need approval.
But but often when you're in a situation where things have happened to you and you want to be a victim and not take responsibility, and you're seeking the approval of others in terms of sympathy or pity.
Oh, I gotcha. That makes sense.
Right?
Gotcha.
If you're taking personal responsibility, if I'm taking personal responsibility, I don't really care whether you approve of what I'm going to do or not.
Right.
It's immaterial.
Yes, that is true.
What you think of what I'm doing, I don't care.
Right.
Because I'm taking personal responsibility for this.
Gotcha.
The second thing that happens is that it changes your perception about failure in life and making mistakes.
Yes.
Often people who are victims in life and have victim behavior, what happens to them is they think they can't make mistakes and make failures because it's too hard on them. It's too devastating. They'll never survive it. What'll I do now? I don't know if I can make it through. So what occurs to the person is they think they're not going to make it through this particular tragedy or obstacle or trauma that's occurring. I don't know what to do in life now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you accept the fact that mistakes happen, that failures occur, that things will not go right, whether it's your health or business or personal life, and instead say, you know what? I can make it through this. I'm going to be okay. I can trust that I can handle this failure, this setback, and come through it on the other side, and I'm going to take personal responsibility to get there and not blame anybody or blame events or anything else, because I have faith that whatever happens in life that is negative, I can make it through it.
Yeah, it's a learning experience.
It's a learning experience, and it's also a belief in yourself, Matthew. It's a belief in, you know what? Whatever happens in life, I'll be fine. So to go back to that personal experience with my wife, one of the things I had to face is, what if she's going to die?
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things the doctor said, hey, this is major surgery now, and she may not make it through it, and you need to know that.
It had to have been a very scary thought. Very scary thought.
But one of the things I had to deal with is, okay, if Diane doesn't make it and she dies, will I be okay? And the answer to that is yes, I'll be all right.
Right.
I will make it through it. Will life be the same? No. Will I miss her? Absolutely. She's been my partner in life all my life.
Right. Gotcha.
But will I be all right? Yes, I will. So it's this belief that you can make it through anything. It's really fundamentally important to being able to stop being a victim and taking responsibility. I'm responsible for my emotional state, not Diane.
Mm-hmm.
Not my wife. Okay. That's kind of a second major concept here.
Yes.
A third major concept will be the last one we cover in this segment.
Okay.
Is going to be this notion of feeling when things go wrong and when things don't go right in your life, and you want to take personal responsibility. It's being able to say that to other people in the language that you speak. So it's actually being able to declare it out loud to other people. The business goes down. To be able to say to people, you know what? This business is not working. I'm going to have to close it down. And obviously I've played a big role in this not working.
Oh, yeah.
Which means that it has been a failure. I have to accept some personal responsibility for that and move on. And have the courage to be able to actually say that out loud.
Who do you say it to?
You say it to the people that are closest to you first. To the other people that you know in your business circles.
Yeah.
How often do you encounter, and we see in the news, people in business who the business goes downhill and it goes out of business, and their position is, this wasn't my fault. I had nothing to do with this. It's always something else. And so they're avoiding responsibility, whether it's a politician, a CEO in a company, a chairman of the board of directors, or even just a guy who started up a new business.
Right.
They're saying, They're saying basically, you know what, I have no comment, or it wasn't my fault, and they disappear. As opposed to standing up, as we've seen Warren Buffett done, for example, in many cases with some of his investments. You say, hey, you know what, that was a real mistake, and I'll take responsibility for that. That wasn't a great decision about buying that company.
Yes, he's done that a number of times, actually.
He's done it a number of times. That's why I admire him. That's why I admire him so much as a business leader, because he exemplifies what I'm talking about.
Well, ironically, even though he makes mistakes, his stocks really don't take a hit. People don't leave him. They actually appreciate it very much.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So one of the things we found out, the psychologists found out, is when you take personal responsibilities like that, a number of negative emotions start, and when you say it out loud, so a number of negative emotions start to disappear. Anger disappears. Fear disappears. Feeling like the spotlight is on you and everybody's watching disappears. Just when you stand up and you say, you know what, I've made a mistake, I'm going to take responsibility, and I'm going to move on now. Whether it's a personal relationship or a business adventure, emotional things in your head start to alter. Your brain starts to change when you do that.
You know, I never really thought about that very much. Okay, all right.
And it makes you a much more powerful person, because the next time you face a difficult situation, you have more strength in dealing with that, because you know you go into that next situation saying, I can handle this. I'm going to be fine, regardless of what happens.
Right.
And I'm not going to blame anyone. Okay. So I just want to, because we're coming to a close on our session today, is I want to take a bit of a summary then. Is number one, be responsible for every single choice you make in life. Every decision you make in life and everything that happens in life is a fundamental position, regardless of what it is. And it includes illness that comes into your life. Okay?
That's amazing.
Number two is when you encounter other people who are victims, is don't enable that behavior by feeling sorry for them and reinforcing their beliefs and their behavior. Take the position of saying, you know what can you do now? What's the next step you can take now? What are you going to do? And take that position.
Okay.
Number three is to understand that trusting yourself and your ability to get through really, really difficult times is the core of you being able to get through anything in life. Doesn't matter what it is. It's a belief that, you know what, whatever happens, I'll get through it and I'll be okay. It's really building that trust for yourself. And then it's really hard to be a victim, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, I was
thinking,
oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. And then the final thing is, go ahead.
I was just thinking that you were talking about having this inner belief in faith. I didn't know if you were going in a direction where spirituality comes into play, or religion. You know, some people, say that, they have a higher power or God or something, and that they'll draw strength from that. Does that fit into what you're talking about, or is that something a little different?
No, this has nothing to do with that. It has more of a turning inwards and knowing that inside you as an individual, regardless of what your religious or spiritual beliefs are, is that you have the resources to get through anything.
All right, it's the personal confidence within.
Yes.
Okay, not turning elsewhere. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Now, does that mean that we can't use the assistance and the help of other people? No, it doesn't. Of course, we all turn to help and support. Mm-hmm. But turning to the help and support without being a victim is very different than turning to the help and support and asking people to feel sorry for you and rescue you. It's two different things.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
And then the final thing is being able to say it out loud. To be able to come up and say it out loud to people who really count in your life, saying, you know what? This is not working. This has failed. I'm taking personal responsibility for it. I'm not blaming anybody, and I'm moving on, and I'll be okay. That's a really critical key to it. So I'd like to leave our... Yeah.
Okay, may I ask something? Why is it so important to actually say it? Is it because of the emotional state of being, or is it the habit? I wasn't quite clear why it's so important to actually, say it.
Yeah. It actually comes from brain science research, Matthew, is that one of the things they found is that when we articulate and say in words, how we're feeling, our emotions, it actually changes the brain activity in your brain.
Oh.
And you stimulate that part of the brain that brings calmness and serenity and a sense of control over your life. That part of your brain gets activated. And the part of your brain that is associated with primitive emotions like anger and fear tends to calm down a lot just by saying it. Just by saying something like, I'm afraid. I'm feeling anger here about this. I'm feeling really anxious. Just by saying those words, you actually calm yourself down.
Okay. All right.
So that's an additional strategy that really helps. So you know what? Hey, I failed at this, and I'm taking personal responsibility. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm going to be okay, and I'm moving on.
Right.
So I just want to leave those things with our listeners today as strategies about how to not be a victim in life and take personal responsibility.
Okay. Well, that was very good, Ray. So, anyway, viewers, I appreciate you joining us on this episode of The Success Formula. And as always, Ray and I enjoy our time with you. So stay tuned on our next episode, and we'll have an exciting topic to talk about. Thank you.
Bye for now.